What is going on, people? Welcome back to Fandom Empire Live. I believe this is episode 6 of our relaunch. And even though it is the month of November, let's call this the Christmas Movies Part 1 stream. Because tonight's stream will not nearly be long enough to dive into all of our favorite Christmas movies and traditions and lists and stuff like that. But we're going to talk a bit about that stuff tonight. We talked a little bit last week about if we were concerned that there was silence with the Halloween TV series. Johnny wasn't on for that, so we're going to get his thoughts on that. Um, Again, there's some people going doom and gloom with it. I don't think it's like that necessarily, but I do think, there's a level of patience here that, needs to be done. It's not like you're mid trilogy or season 3, 4, or 5 of a series. You're at the beginning point. And, um, for me, it's that beginning point can take years and years and years to get off the ground. So, we'll talk a little bit about that. Star Wars, all sorts of things going on over there. All sorts of new reports continuing to come out from major Hollywood trades. This one being the Hollywood Reporter and Boris Kitt. Some wrestling and some other sports stuff. Where will Soto go? Without further ado, though, he is the man behind Bros Before Pros Gaming over on Twitch. It's Johnny. What's happening, buddy?
Yeah, not a whole heck of a lot at all.
Let's try that again. You were muted.
Oh, yeah, it's that kind of day. Nothing at all. I'm doing good, I think.
He thinks he's not sure. He'll let us know in 10 minutes. Also joining us, Randy. What's going on, bud?
Dude, I am exhausted from work, but it's only because I'm trying to get as much done as humanly possible before I go on PTO for the rest of the month, starting on Thursday. So, yeah, but I'm here. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk. Let's go.
Also joining us, he's the president of the Karen Did Not Die fan club, Mr. Matt Whitfield. What's going
Also,
on, buddy?
only member.
The only, yeah. What's going on, buddy? Oh, you're muted too. Let's try that again. Go ahead.
Application process, $50 to join. Taking taking people day and night trying to get to join the club. Also,
I mean, if you're paying that much, I can understand why.
yeah, maybe I might knock it down to like $24.99. I'm also a happy fan. Johnny's a happy fan. We like blocking kicks at the end of games.
Only Chicago could lose a game like that.
And we like whipping ass this coming weekend.
The Broncos did it last week, so it's not just the Bears.
And I'm looking forward to this ass whipping we will be administering this weekend.
Duh, Bears.
Suck.
Yeah.
Not as bad as like the Giants or some other teams, but yes, they do suck.
They're a whole different kind of suck.
A little
True.
later on in the show, we're going to talk about what the hell is going on over at Lucasfilm and some of the reports coming out of the Hollywood Reporter that Randy and I believe, briefly discussed some of them last week. There's an article that's come out since then. We'll get Johnny's take on it all as well. Johnny's been doing the whole Star Wars podcast thing for 10 years now, on and off. And in terms of stupid things that are said, I'm pretty sure this is going to rank right up there, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely unbelievable. And then, as always, we'd like to remind you, if you pre-order today, Midichlorians the Game Part 2, you can play as Darth M. Count. Johnny's favorite. Speaking of which, where all this came from, our Acolyte watch party. Let's get into some news about that stuff right out of the gate here in terms of content you'll be able to find on this channel. We will be doing the Star Wars Skeleton Crew rewatch series, the bunch of us here, and shows will obviously start later on Tuesday nights so that we can see the episodes. The first one will obviously be a bit of a doozy. But you'll be able to catch that. And then, to Johnny's great joy, the thing that we talked about many, 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 many months ago, maybe way back when we were doing Ahsoka last year, Andor has a release date of April, meaning, and we had decided we were going to do our Andor rewatch series heading into Andor. So my guess is that will begin sometime in the back half of January. I'm gonna have to do my math to see if it lines up. But so that's coming in terms of like having specific Star Wars content that'll be on each channel. Obviously, we'll keep our ear to the ground on anything we hear from Halloween. You'll hear stuff out of Scream before Halloween. At this point, it's very likely you might hear stuff out of Elm Street before Halloween. So, and we'll see what happens on those fronts. Without further ado, though, gentlemen, I have an announcement to make.
You're pregnant.
Fuck no. How about no? How about hard no? Unless you're taking Bo. If you want to take Bo from us, yeah, right. No. So my announcement that I'd like to make is I have people the Christmas spirit. That's right. I'm in a joyful Christmas mood. Um, and Matt's just looking at the computer ready to punch it. So here's the thing, right? So, like, in Canada, we celebrate our Thanksgiving in October. So we quite literally go from Halloween to Christmas. If you go into Walmart right now or Dollarama or any, big department store up here, it's Christmas all over the place. But you guys have Thanksgiving sandwiched in between the two, and Thanksgiving's a massive deal for you guys down there.
Yeah, too bad all the stores thinks it's Christmas already.
Mhm.
We just made the decision with how, shitty life can be at times, and, how crappy the last few years have been for everybody on the planet, that we were going to celebrate Christmas in November as well this year. So November and December. We're gonna start to put some decorations up this weekend. We're waiting for my oldest guy to come back to be able to do the tree, so that'll get done a little later than we would like. But it's like, why not celebrate a more fun, heartwarming time of the year if you can do it? And then obviously part of that, much like around the Halloween season, you start to watch more Halloween movies or horror movies. You watch Christmas movies. And, usually people have a cycle, if you will, a list. A list people will go back to, that you got to watch this one once a year or once every other year, whenever it is. So I wanted to take a little bit of time tonight. And we'll call this the Christmas movie discussion part one, just to talk about a few of those movies on our lists that we have to watch each holiday season. And I do have a story about a movie that I'm going to end this discussion with, but I want to hand the reins over to someone else for now. Johnny, I'm going to throw it over to you, buddy. Christmas movies. I know it's not really unusual for us to be celebrating Christmas in November because it's like up here, that's when the Santa Claus parades always were when we were growing up.
Already happened here.
Yeah, so that was this past weekend.
What
And
day? What day is y'all's Christmas up there?
What?
How high
You
is
should
Matt
pass
tonight?
around what you're on, man. Because
I
really,
need some of that. Yeah, give me some of that shit.
Huh?
it's the same as around the world, man. Get with it.
New Year's, I could accept that because it is in different places in a lot of
Sure.
Yeah.
places around the world. I get that. But I don't know of any country that celebrates Christmas where it isn't in December.
Let's go around the table. We'll do one apiece to begin with, and we'll go back around. Johnny, your lead off, man. What's one that you gotta hit every year? And the only asterisk I'll put up here is no one bring up the Christmas story tonight. We have many, many weeks to talk about the Christmas story. Johnny, what do you got for us, man?
Well, for me, it's the greatest Christmas film ever made. You know, it has everything you need in a movie. It's action, adventure, vulgar language. Die Hard. It's Die Hard. We have to watch Die Hard every year.
Oh, not this again.
It is a Christmas movie.
Instantly regret the show topic.
It's crazy, but I agree with Matt and Johnny. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Oh.
I wish I had it, and I know it's ironic because we were just talking about this last. You and I were talking about this a couple of weeks ago in one of those 4 a.m. neither of us are sleeping reminisce conversations. I was just sorting some clothes the other day, and I found my Nakatomi Christmas Party 1988 T-shirt from the nerd store that used to be in the mall.
That's badass.
So it's relevant.
I swear that one was on accident. I almost dropped my laptop. Man, I missed that store.
Same.
It was overpriced, but I still miss that store. Yeah, I think that's look. I don't think it's a Christmas movie, but I do know the mass majority of people do. And it's on a lot of people's lists. I know whatever streaming service it's playing on up here has it listed under Christmas movies. So fuck it.
As it
No,
should.
Disney Plus. Go figure.
It's a Fox movie, so of course.
All right. Well,
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Matt, give it to us, baby.
Silent
Give us a
Night,
movie.
Deadly Night.
Oh, classic.
Yes. One of the
Why?
first Christmas movies.
Why is it a go-to for you each year?
Because it's like the best like horror Santa Claus movie I've ever made. And I've heard recently that the creators of Terrifier are going to take their stab at it. So in the next year or two. So we'll begin a remake, reboot, or whatever of that movie soon. But yeah, I've always loved the first one. The second one was kind of stupid, garbage day. But yeah, that's always a for the horror side of it. Yeah, but other side,
No, save it. We're gonna come back to you.
okay,
We're gonna come back to you.
all right.
Randy, what about you? What's one that's just you got to hit up every age?
Well, Johnny already took mine. Actually, I have 3, but I'll go with one of them. One of the ones I always have to watch is Home Alone. It's something I grew up with as a kid, and there's just that nostalgia factor year in and year out that it's a feel good movie when you in the end. So, and that's kind of why that's one of those ones I have to watch for Christmas.
I figured you'd be watching the Ewok Christmas special.
Don't you dare bring up that Star Wars holiday special. No. I will murder you in your sleep.
We do Home Alone.
That much, I would have said that.
We do Home Alone here. It's a big one for us because we've had a tradition for many years now where we'll put up our Christmas tree with the kids present, and obviously them being 4 and 2 hasn't been going on for too long. That being said, we started it before Bo or Jensen were even around, so like it started with a Zachary, and so we wait for him, and we watch Home Alone 1, and if we're all awake enough, we'll watch 2 right after. If not, we watch 2 the following day. So to piggyback off Randy's, I'll throw in Home Alone 2 there as well. It's a tradition we love, we look forward to, and it's just a fun day for us. Johnny brings it back around to you, man. Give us another one.
Oh, I guess you got to go with The Grinch. I'm talking the classic, not Jim Carrey. Although Jim Carrey's great, and I'd probably watch that one too. But you got to go with the classic cartoon from '69, I think.
Mm-hmm. You're 68 or 69.
The cartoon's definitely better.
So are we going TV shows now, or are we actually sticking with movies?
Oh, it's a TV movie, Randy. It counts.
30 minutes is not a TV movie.
It was in '69.
How dare you? Frosty the Snowman's a legend.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is a legend.
That's actually an hour long.
Less commercials.
I DVR all that stuff, so every Christmas.
Fandom Empire lives indeed. From the ashes of an empire to an empire. Anyways, yeah, that was a good one. I like that one, man. What about you, Matt?
Christmas Carol. The 1939 version.
Oh, the classic.
Mm-hmm. I got hooked on watching that one with my dad years ago.
That was my mom's favorite version of that.
Yeah, and he'll if he knows it's coming on, he'll call me and tell me it's coming on. So I'll either watch it or I'll DVR it if I'm doing something. But yeah, the 1939 version's the best one in my opinion. I'll pass it up to Randy.
So I'm kind of surprised that none of you have said this, because I was going to go something else. I figured Matt was going to be the one to say this, but National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. You got to watch it. It's one of those movies you have to watch.
That was next.
That one's so good for me. I don't even limit it to the holiday season.
I agree, but it's a must watch during Christmas, obviously. And you can't go wrong with just that type of comedy and just overall just the one-liners. It's such a great movie. I love it.
So, fun fact, I have only seen that movie in one sitting one time.
That's not a fun
Others,
fact. That's
it's
a
like
sad fact.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
others, it's like you go over to someone's house around the holiday season and you see like the last 20 minutes or the first hour or something, but like the intent to actually sit down and watch it beginning to end, only one time.
If you've been around Fandom Empire and preceding versions long enough, you will be well aware of Sean's lack of having watched some very good, very classic cinematic films in the history of time.
Doesn't surprise me.
Watched Halloween Ends, bitch.
I'm pretty sure I said classics.
The Rise of Skywalker, motherfucker.
You're not helping your own case.
You guys, The Last Jedi, you might start making everybody sick.
Um,
Last Jedi was better than Rise of Skywalker.
Debatable.
Not really.
Family Man with Nick Cage for me is
I keep forgetting that's a Christmas movie. I really do.
yeah, it's well, Christmas through New Year's, etc. But yeah, I just really enjoy it. It's also basically Lexmas and vice versa. If you're a Smallville fan, you know what I'm talking about. I just enjoy the movie. It's a really good movie. We try to watch it once a year, usually closer to like Christmas Day. So, and then really quickly, I also wanted to add on before you guys give one more. So I started watching this Christmas movie 12 years ago. 12 years ago. It was on like the movie network up here in Canada.
It's a terrible movie.
Oh God, here we go. And it was one of those times where the funny story about this actually is Zachary, my oldest, would have been 4 years old when I was watching this. Okay, so um, I don't know why the internet went out or something, and by the time I went to go back to watch it again, it was off the movie channel. So I forgot about it for a few years, and then I thought about it just randomly. I don't know if I dreamt about it one night or whatever. So I went on the hunt for like definitely this like B movie Christmas movie. You know, not quite as bad as some of the Hallmark ones, although they can be kind of fun yet stupid to watch. Um, and like I just could not find it. And for the last several years, we've been trying and trying and trying, couldn't find it. And finally, the other night on Tubi, of all things, I found it. So 12 years in between viewings of the movie. And now Jensen is 4 years old, which is how old Zach was when I started the movie. And I'm proud to announce I still have not finished the movie. I got like 12 minutes left. It's been decent. Jade hates it, can't stand it. But yeah, 12 years. That's got to be like the longest attempt to view a movie one time ever.
From start to finish, no. If that's a record, I've got you beat.
Oh, really?
I'm at 35 years and counting, not being able to get through the entirety of Fantasia. Sean can attest to this because we watched it in school one time. I fell asleep halfway through. Every time I watch it, I fall asleep. It's a cure for my insomnia. It's a great movie because the music is great, but every time, fall asleep. Never finished it.
Not on the list.
I've fallen asleep. Randy, I fell asleep in the Birth Theater watching that movie too.
Before they actually upgraded the seats?
No. This was
Oh,
years ago.
God.
Yes.
Johnny, give us
We already
another
did that one. Yeah.
What movie is this, Sean?
Well, it's Johnny's turn. It's the name of the movie. It's called Christmas Miracle. Basically, it's about a bunch of different people that live in this small town between towns that wreck on a road, and then they're forced to take like cover in a old abandoned church, and it's like a night of survival and strangers having to come together, sort of thing.
Yeah, Jay's right. It sucks.
Good Lord.
I don't necessarily think he's wrong in that statement. Because like for most of that, I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, that sounds like something my mom would watch on Hallmark.
That's what I was thinking. Like, that sounds like a Hallmark movie.
In fact, I think it might be.
And it's a Thomas Kincaid movie.
That doesn't mean it's not a Hallmark movie.
Anyways, give us one more, Johnny. One more Christmas movie
One
that's
more movie.
like a yearly thing for you. You got to hit it once a year.
I feel like all of them have been named that I go to on a routine yearly basis without, you know.
You trying to tell me you anti-Rudolph, motherfucker?
No, but you know, I got to assume we're gonna.
You trying
do
to
that
say you're
one
too
later.
old too old for Rudolph? Huh?
Oh, you're never too old for Rudolph. It's like you're never too old for Frosty. But since Randy has, started his tirade on TV movies, I don't want to pick two.
TV special, damn it.
Randy turned into the Grinch out of nowhere.
TV Christmas movie. It doesn't. It. Okay. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's the perfect November movie. It's halfway between Christmas and Halloween. It's perfect.
All right, give us your final one, Matt.
I'm having the biggest brain fart in the world. Jimmy Stewart.
You hate Christmas?
Jimmy Stewart. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes. I couldn't think of the name of it. I could see every damn scene in the movie, and I just couldn't think of it. Yeah, A Wonderful Life is something. I go over to Melissa's parents' house and watch. That's kind of like a tradition of theirs that I've kind of grown with for the past 16 years. So yeah, that's Melissa's dad in her movie. So yeah, I've kind of, as I've gotten older, it's been that. And I don't think I really watched it growing up. My dad's always like black and white movies and everything. So if it's anything black and white, he'll watch it. He's a big TCM fan. So before TCM, it's like the two movies Dad always had me watch: A Wonderful Life and the 1939 version of A Christmas Carol.
Man, my mind went to a different area there. You're saying TCM. I'm like, yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, baby. But you're not talking about that. Turner's classics, right?
Yeah,
last time you and I watched a movie on cable, it was on TCM.
You and me?
Yeah.
When the fuck was that?
Oh, it was a long time ago.
I was gonna say,
what
when's the
movie
last
was
time
it?
we watched something on cable?
Force 10 from Navarone.
Ooh,
great movie.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Great night.
Fantastic movie. My God, I need to rewatch that. It's a great one. R.I.P. Carl Weathers. Talking Star Wars says there's a horror version called It's a Wonderful Knife.
That does not surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
Horror spoofs of everything now. Randy, did you have one more you want to give here? Close things out.
So there's quite a few that like, because Christmas is my favorite holiday, so I watch quite a bit. So I'm just trying to. I think I'm going to go with kind of one my grandmother got me into. Definitely not something that I don't think anybody would realize. It's one of the Christmas movies I like to watch every year. But White Christmas.
Good one.
Which is something she turned me on to, with It's a Wonderful Life and Miracle on 34th Street and White Christmas. Those were movies she that we watched together around that time. So
Who was it? 1947.
Something like that.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for our Christmas movie discussion on this episode. It won't be the only one, though. We'll be doing them quite frequently moving forward. Just some movies will get a lot more time than others. Might even have a watch party or two in between now and then.
We can do a Christmas Story watch party. Awesome.
Oh, hard pass. If
We
you
can do
guys
a
want to knock
sequel.
yourself out,
We can do a sequel.
I haven't seen the sequel, so.
It's actually decent.
it's pretty good.
Mhm.
I liked it.
Johnny, can you pull up the notes for me? I don't have access to them.
I can.
Thank you.
Halloween.
All right, so, and you know what? Perfect. We can address Michael Evans' concerns to dive into this short topic here. He says, I have serious doubts about the Halloween series after the Friday the 13th series fell apart. Part of me thinks Halloween should stay in theaters only. So the only issue with that is at the moment there is no distribution deal for a new Halloween movie. So there need to be some stuff figured out with the rights. Although they intend to do one that follows up what they're doing with this TV series. I totally understand why you have doubts about the Halloween series. It is more than halfway through November, and we didn't hear a thing in October. Nothing official. A quiet launch of Halloween Portal that looks like it's bare bones at best. The obviously the disaster with Crystal Lake. Obviously, my hope was that that series would come to life with the fellow there from Hannibal. They didn't like how the budget was increasing and lots of studio meddling and executive meddling, and we had him either fired or leaving the project, and now someone else is on board. I believe this person has a hand in the Welcome to Derry series that's coming out. But for all intents and purposes, it's a new project. It's not, doesn't sound like they saved a bunch of old scripts and they're just gonna redo it. It might be Crystal Lake in name, but it isn't what they were originally working on. Long way of me saying I totally get it if you're in the same position that Michael is here, thinking they're in trouble with the Halloween TV series. That being said, it's just like I said off the top of the show. I think it is not necessarily easier, but once you're like the second movie or the third movie or the second season or the third season of something, you have a timeline basically that when you have to be done for, when you have to have that project out. You don't really have any hard timeline right now on when you have to get this Miramax Halloween series out. Other than obviously they would love to capitalize something somehow, some way in the year 2028 off of the 50th anniversary of the franchise, which I suspect will be the next movie. So I still don't like. There's people that are worried that this thing's dead. I don't think it's dead. I don't think it's anywhere close to dead. I think it's very much in active development. I just think it's really hard, especially in today's volatile industry, to actually get something to the point where you're shooting. It's hard for even series that intend to continue to get back to shooting at times. Look at Stranger Things, right? Like things come up, things get in the way. Johnny, I wanted to have your take on this because there's been a lot of talk around the fandom over the last week about, kind of similar to Michael's point that he made, and having serious doubts. And I think it's okay to have doubts, but I think the biggest thing here is I think we still need to exercise a lot of patience. There was only a deal done a year ago for these rights.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's a long process, and we think about movies as being a long process, but TV series somehow is even longer. Um, from pitch to pilot to pickup to actually seeing it can sometimes, be 3 or 4 years. And, we're a year removed from rights. That's still a long way to go. You've acquired the rights to characters. Now you need to write your scripts, come up with your ideas, put that stuff all together, pitch to a network, obviously in this case, likely a streamer of some kind, or, you know, what have you. And then you have to, assuming you don't get a full series order right off the jump, which isn't likely, um, you still have to do your casting, your pilot, your editing, submitting the pilot, getting picked up. How many episodes do you get picked up for? What's your green light for? Getting those scripts ready, filming those episodes, and then seeing them. It's a very long process. And anyone who thought this was going to be some quick thing, it just has no idea just how long the process can take in television. It's not movies. Movies, the turnaround is shockingly quick, but there's a big difference between the two, and that's money. A budget for a movie is going to be your $100 million. In that ballpark. TV show, you're looking at maybe 2 to 3 million per episode, and that's on the high end. So it's a lot different. The money involved is a lot different from a production standpoint. So the wheels of television move a lot slower because of that.
To,
So,
to, to be clear, Johnny's talking about like what the horror TV budget would be. Obviously something
oh, I'm talking big budget, big
like
budget TV.
like uh, like Andor was nearly $30 million an episode, right? So you don't need that for
No,
any horror movie franchise. You could make probably your entire series on a budget like that.
that's premium TV budget. We're not talking about that here. So, it's a lot slower process, and where we are, I think we're fine. We would it be nice to get some news, get something? Yes. But, I understand how slow these, I heard about projects and pilots 3 years ago that got picked up that still haven't been shown. That still haven't, actually even filmed yet. So, it's a long process. And when you have a fan base like this who is very what's the word I'm looking for here? Involved in the processes as far as where they are, you're going to get a lot more of that, restlessness as far as where we are in this. But I'm okay with it. We're not at a point now where I'm worried about this state. Once we get to casting and writing and filming, assuming there isn't a home for it, then I'll start getting worried. If we had a cast, I'd be worried. We don't have any of those things. We're still in the, storyboard writing stage, and that's fine, especially if they're writing out an entire series. If they're planning to go right from pickup to shoot for an entire season, which likely would be what their plan is because it's likely distributed by a streamer, not traditional cable. So it's an entirely different process.
Yeah, I think I'm not the most patient guy in the world, but I just think people need to hang in there a little bit longer. I'll say this: I think if you get to October 2025 and they've still said absolutely nothing on an official capacity, then I think you can start to go, okay, they've hit a snag somewhere. But even then, it doesn't mean it's dead. These things take time.
Yep.
Obviously, the smoother it is, usually the better it is. That's not always the case, but um, hopefully in time, things will get better. What do we got next, man?
That would be it for the first segment. It's Fandom Buzz time.
Just read me the titles, and I'll throw our little rankings on screen here. Fandom Buzz is where we rank FE1, no chance it happens, all the way to FE5, it's a lock.
All right, first up we have Seth, question mark.
Hang on, I'm going to throw this up on screen. I'm going to backtrack just for a second because
Okay.
Jay's fairly connected. But so what he heard is JL, I think he means C, is not coming back. Maybe some type of behind the scene, like producer type thing. Also, budget per episode could be around 4 to 5 million each, with 8 to 10 episodes. Yeah, so the Jamie Lee Curtis stuff is probably almost definitely her name being attached as an executive producer, which I just don't support at all, because usually those type of deals, the person's not very involved. Jamie Lee Curtis will be very involved because that's who she is. Otherwise, she would not put her name on it, regardless of what the price tag is. And at least from my standpoint of view, uh, you know, figuring out what was going on with Halloween Ends, it sounded like that was just a massive problem. And like, to me, you have another massive problem if the only way you can sell this franchise is to continuously reattach John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis's name to it. I think you're insulting your fan base, and I think Halloween has more value than that. Um, I kept hearing 6 to 8 episodes. I was hoping for 10 episodes, and I have no idea what they're doing on budget. The big thing I kept hearing back and forth, Justin, was what we've already talked about, was a Loomis approach and then a hardly any Loomis approach. So, um, we'll see what happens, but I think they should keep her out of it, given how that interview went with, I think, Variety on Halloween. Makes me think that there's discussions there, unfortunately. And hey, it's hard to sell projects. It's hard to sell a season of TV. Um, it's not always about, oh well, no brainer idea. It's a Halloween thing. They'll pick it up. Timing with a lot of this stuff is so important. Um, and we'll see what happens there. So time will tell. Um, sorry, Johnny. Fandom buzz. What do we
Yes.
have?
Seth, question mark.
All right. So is Seth Rollins the fifth member of the OG Bloodline team? Which, by the way, I think Johnny predicted many, 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 many months ago, on one of our shows. But is Seth the fifth member of that team? Let's go around. FE5 would be a lock. FE1 would be no chance it happens. Let's start with Randy on this one.
So I'm going to say FE4, just because with Bronson Reed hanging around the new bloodline, I think that would make a lot of sense if Reed ends up on their team as well. So it would be just continuing the rivalry between the two. And it'd be a smart decision just to kind of connect all the stories together. But yeah, so for me, it's a FE4.
Johnny.
I'd say it's an FE4. probably leaning closer to a 5 than a 4, but there are still a little bit of wiggle room in the story, in that there is a missing person in this story who could interject themselves, and it could change the mathematics for the 5th person. I, of course,
And I
refer to
know
the
where you're
wise man.
going there. Yeah.
I, of course, refer to the wise man, who's notably absent, especially after Roman reached out for him last week on SmackDown. And if he interjects himself back into the story, presumably on the side of the OG bloodline, it would make sense for him to pick the 5th person. I don't think he'd pick Seth. I think at that point we're looking at Punk, which makes sense on multiple levels. Not only does he work within the Paul Heyman part of the storyline, the history with the bloodline and the new bloodline, but it also throws a wrinkle into Seth's story. Being overlooked for Punk again is a nice little story element that could be used down the road, building
Start the
towards
program.
something at, say, WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'd say 4. If they're smart, it's not him, and you use this as a story block for your WrestleMania match with Punk, which is what I do. But sadly, time and time again, I've seen more and more proof that Hunter is not as good a booker as people think he is. So it'll probably just be Seth.
Had the Paul Heyman thing not happened, I would be in your corner. Well, not really. I think I am in your corner, but I would have been all like Seth. It's definitely Seth. Bronson's in there to make you think Seth. But I do think when you start to look at the WrestleMania spots that are taken and the ones that might still be available, Punk versus Seth is. I don't want to say it's super likely for Mania, but like it's certainly a strong possibility, I think. And I think your point of it being another, Seth overlooked for Punk, I think that adds to it. I think there's, it's complex because Roman publicly doesn't like Punk. So you obviously have a big moment with them on screen. Um, I can't believe I'm saying this, hit the recorders, people. I'm like basically 100% behind Johnny's line of thinking here. I think that the smart money would be Punk, given what they set up and Paul Heyman not being there, and Punk does it as a favor. Punk's actually already been involved in this storyline dating back to Chicago. Um, I think it would be interesting. I think it works better if Seth is like if Punk is picked over Seth by Heyman and them rather than Bronson hurts Seth again and Punk fills in,
Yeah.
because I think it sets up the Punk and Seth match better, as Johnny pointed out. So I'm gonna go with FE3. Could go either way. I could definitely see it being. To me, Seth is kind of like that boring, predictable Vince McMahon booking decision, in my opinion. Um, I hope that's not the case. Uh, who hasn't gone yet? Randy or Matt?
I'm an FE3. It's probably gonna be Seth, but hell, it's a lot more intriguing with if it was Punk, because it sets up, like Johnny was saying, something down the line, possibly WrestleMania. But yeah, for me, it's a 3. I mean, we should see Heyman back. I would think any day. He's coming. It's just a matter of when. And I'm almost willing to bet you, whoever the 5th member is, if they were smart, they bring Heyman back at War Games with the 5th member.
Yeah, I can see that. I just feel like you lose some promo possibility there, and like as much as I love Punk, let's be honest, his strength, his promo is not in-ring ability despite his new jacked body. Um,
Yeah.
I'm hoping he's still straight edge, but some of those pictures make me wonder. Um, but I mean, do what you got to do, stay healthy, etc. Um, but I don't know. I look at the different possibilities, and I I just like to not have any Punk Roman like standoff. This is an awful pick sort of thing would feel like a missed opportunity to me. And yet Survivor Series is what? How many they got what, 2 weeks to build? Is that it? So
Yeah.
you're probably right, Matt, to be honest. Like I don't think that's time to bring Heyman back. Heyman selects Punk and then still have promos on one of those shows prior to the pay-per-view. It's probably uh you know, if it is Punk, a reveal at the pay-per-view. But if it's Seth, then it's already done and taken care of, right? So
I mean, Seth makes too much sense. Why not try, throw a wrench in everything, shock the world?
Randy, what was it you said again?
He was a 4.
Yeah, I was at FE4. I was taking the safe route.
That means they already have that in play, right? It'd be kind of. We all see a route where it could be Punk, and we know Punk's confirmed to be at Survivor Series. But, yeah, like, who knows, right? Punk's Survivor Series moment, as lame as it would probably be, could be confronting Gunther after Gunther beats Priest, right? Like, I would rather him be in the Bloodline thing personally, but that's just me. Johnny, what do we got next?
Next up, we have Soto.
All right, Soto boys. The odds that he ends up with a New York based team. The odds that he ends up with a New York based team. FE1, FE2, FE3, FE4, FE5. Matt, going to you first, buddy.
Mm. Mm. I'm very split between Epi 3 and Epi 4. Um, I have read that the Mets have offered him 660 as their start off offer. Um, I know the Yankees going to be in play. I know he's meeting with the Phillies. He's met with the Dodgers. And I listen sometimes at night when I can't sleep. I'll turn on WFan. I know Randy probably knows that station. It's a New York radio station. And just listen to a lot of the people. And they were talking last night. And somebody said, well, why should the Yankees have to meet with Soto? And he doesn't deserve to be swooned or everything. This is like, for him, this is like going to college. Having the opportunity to have all these teams present their pitch and what they want to do and everything to him, and you gotta love it. The kids gotta love it. So you give him time to make his decision. I'd say it's probably at least a 60% chance he goes to one of the New York teams.
So on our FE scale.
I'm right in the middle between a 3 and a 4.
Alrighty. I heard today that the Mets were the most likely with the Jays right behind. But since I'm cynical when it comes to the Jays closing the deal on things like this, I'm going to go with FE5. It's a lock. He's going somewhere in New York. Randy, what about you?
So for me, I feel like it still could go either way. So I'm still on an FE3 just because we've seen deals where it seems like, oh yeah, he's going here. He's definitely going here. We definitely know he's going to go here. And then, 11th hour, someone swoops in and pulls the carpet out from under the team and lands the guy. So, and it doesn't matter what sport it is, any sport. So I'm still going to say could go either way, just because there's always going to be someone waiting in the wings, waiting at that last minute with that last potential offer that could be just enough to sway him. And honestly, I'd rather just kind of temper my expectations versus get all excited and then have him get stolen and then just be like, well, another season down the toilet. But anyway, I mean, that's just my take on it. Obviously, as a Blue Jays fan, just the same things. I mean, how many times have you guys come this close to signing a megastar and then someone else swoops in at the last minute? So,
Oh, that knife didn't need to be twisted in my gut, Randy.
not at all. So, yeah, it's an FE3 from me.
Knife gut boy. What about you?
I'm at a 4. I think it most likely is New York because you have two big swinging dicks in the Yankees and the Mets who just like to throw money around. And yet between the two of them can't buy a championship to save their lives. But that's the story of a New York sports fan. So yeah, I think it's most likely one of the two New York teams. But there's still a chance that it's not, just because there are other options out there and there are other things in play, not just not exclusively, like, we know money's the motivator, obviously, but there are other factors at play, and who knows, maybe one of those factors sways him somewhere else. Like, maybe he wants to win a championship so bad he defers all his cash and goes to the Dodgers. That is a thing that they do because you know because they can.
Taxes.
Well, not even that, just the ridiculousness of their skirting of the competitive balance tax by deferring cash to
NHL players are starting to do it now too, in terms of, or at least the Canadian teams are starting to use that tactic to keep the cap number down, by them not getting their money until after um, they're no longer in Canada. So, what's next?
Next up is Tyson Paul.
All right, Mike Tyson, Logan Paul. Was it rigged? And by rigged, I mean fixed outcome, meaning Jake Paul was intended to win no matter what. FE5, it's a lock. FE1, we'll say no chance. Johnny, we'll start with you.
I'd say like a 4.5. It's
SE 4.5, the first of its kind.
Well, no, it's not, because Matt just did a 0.5, so he broke the seal. I'm just stepping through the void next.
Oh, sloppy seconds.
No, I mean, I'd say it's like 99% that it was a predetermined outcome, and 1% that it wasn't. It just, I don't know. I said it on Friday night talking with people. Two people were in that fight, and one of them looked like they shouldn't. And the one that looked like they shouldn't was Jake Paul. Because I was embarrassed watching him that entire fight. Like, Mike looked like a 58-year-old man. He was what I expected. But for somebody claiming to be the best in the sport, boxing runs through, like, it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed watching his punches, watching his combos, his footwork, everything. I was embarrassed watching it all. It was the worst match on the card, which is saying something because the first match sucked. But I was embarrassed watching that fight.
I think there's almost no chance the winner was determined. So I'm an FE1 on that. That being said, obviously a bunch of stipulations in there that aren't great. And think you just hit the nail on the head, man. Like Mike Tyson looked like he was a 58-year-old man. Now, you and I used to play floor hockey with a 55-year-old man with a bum knee um, when we were kids. And that dude, when he was feeling his best, could go better than all of us and was flying around there. And that dude, when his knee was bothering him, may as well not been out there. And Mike Tyson's knee clearly had issues. And if you don't have your legs under you, you are not going to be throwing effective punches. Speed's out. You're 58 years old, right? So it just looked like a guy who was sore, tired, and didn't have much. And yeah, I don't have anything positive to say about Jake Paul's antics. I definitely wanted Tyson to win, but I think it was evident very early that that wasn't going to happen. Randy?
So there's not going to be no 0.5 out of me. I'll just say it now. FE5, just because honestly, the fact that Tyson came out as strong as he did, and then all of a sudden magically out of nowhere just kind of geared it down a bunch and just kind of started lumbering around after them pretty much being holding in the against the ropes. I just kind of was like, okay, that doesn't make any sense to me, how he went from firing on all cylinders to all of a sudden just walking around like he's 80. Makes zero sense to me. So yeah, I mean, I guess I can't blame him, when you're getting $20 million to just kind of stand around and take some punches and kind of shuffle about a bit. I guess, I'll stand in there and just take those weak ass punches from Paul. Why not? But I agree with Johnny. It was embarrassing. The fact that Paul just didn't even look like he was. I mean, he's trying to call himself a legit boxer, and yet, if he went up against, say, someone like his weight class and at his age, they'd absolutely mop the floor with his ass. I mean, that's why it's hard to believe that anything, that it's nothing other than an FE5 at this point.
Matt?
I don't. I mean, I'm an FE3. It could have gone either way. I do think that spurt you saw out of him in the first round, I think that was probably might have been him shooting his shot, and that's all he had. And then once Jake Paul knew that was it, he didn't want to embarrass him. And I think that was the last thing Jake Paul wanted to do. I mean, if he could have got a knockout, I saw a couple of shots where he could have, and he didn't. So it makes it. I mean, you go to a decision, it makes Tyson still look like. I mean, essentially, I told somebody, I was like, "This is like Rocky Balboa." Exactly what it felt like to me. Though Stallone was, Rocky was shooting a shot all through the rounds. Tyson just got his in the first and a little bit of the second, but I just don't think it was a lot because I think he's got too much pride. Tyson has too much pride to do it.
Yeah, but $20-30 million, that'll
$20 or $30 million can sway you, but it's just. And then he said at the end of the fight, he had an injury, but he wasn't going into detail. Yeah, it was obvious what it was. It was your leg. You ain't got your leg. There's your speed. And I mean, if you looked at some of the training videos that he did with his combinations and everything, he still had decent hand speed, but you never saw it. But that's where you make it makes you wonder a little bit. But like I said, I just think Tyson had too much pride. It's so I think it kind of could have gone either way.
Yeah, Mike's short, right? So like you're punching up almost all the time, and if you don't have your legs, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean he has a vicious uppercut. Yeah.
Johnny, what's next?
Raw.
Raw. Okay, so Netflix would like CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes all to be a part of the Raw brand. That is what they're requesting. What are the odds that they get all three of these guys? FE1 to FE5, Johnny.
FE1. The network always wants that. USA
Yep.
Network wants the same for SmackDown. Like, it's ridiculous that we're having this conversation. Of course the network wants these guys. It's no different than Fox wanting those guys when SmackDown was there, and USA wanting them on Raw. Of course you want the stars on the show on your network. Like, come on. Like, it's ridiculous that people think they're actually going to do that in this era with, what has essentially been a brand split. Like, it's not going to happen. They're not getting all of them. They might get one or two of them. They might not. I'm sure they'll get all of them for, like, the first episode. And certain other large episodes, like the Raw after Mania, is always a big deal. Like, yeah, okay, you might get them for special occasions or, builds to Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, Mania, where, the events are commingled.
It's not
You
like
might
there's
get
not
them
another
then.
network that just paid money for their show or anything, right?
Exactly. Like, you're not getting all of them. You'll get one or two of them because that's just the way it works. So, that's it. It's one. They're not getting all of them. There's no chance in hell.
Theoretically, here, quickly, if they were to get all three, who does SmackDown have to have?
Everybody else? Well,
Okay, fair answer. Randy.
So I'm thinking about it. Johnny's right. It's an FE1 just because that's all the networks. Whenever they sign a deal with WWE, they're always wanting somebody. And first things first, Netflix, fix your shit before you go making demands. Because that if the fight was your test run, you're fucked. Because that's not going to fly with WWE.
Anyone who thinks the WWE is going to be drawing anywhere near the numbers that fight did,
I'm just saying it's making sure that. I mean, that that site could barely handle the fight. Yes, it was great numbers, but it's the idea of making sure that it still works because their live stuff hasn't been that good so far. Even with award shows, sporting events, they really need to kind of get the bugs worked out because WWE is going to be expecting pristine quality, and they're not there yet. I'm sure they're close. Don't get me wrong, but we can't have that'd be kind of suck if the first episode of Raw, which probably will draw a lot of faces, if they have any type of lag issues like they did with the fight, that there's gonna be some angry people out there.
There's no way. I know Randy's not saying this, but there's no way that first episode of Raw is going to draw anywhere close to the same amount of people that Tyson.
Well, of course not.
Yeah. Now, once you hit WrestleMania stuff, though, that makes me go, we'll see how that plays out. But, yeah. Matt, that's okay. We're actually going to move on to Star Wars here, man, which we're going to have to shorten up tonight. So we will catch you on the flip side, sir. Thanks for coming out and doing this tonight.
All right, no problem, sir.
Looking forward to doing it again. And here's an exclusive from Jeff Snyder: Wild Hogs 2 in development.
Why?
Right? I mean, I like the first one, but yeah, why? Why? Anyways, that's gonna do it for Matt, and that's gonna move us to the galaxy far, far away. This is our Star Wars portion of the show, Johnny's favorite song for many, 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 many years. So I'm gonna condense this down a little bit, just simply because I gotta run. I got a dog that's gotta go outside. So, um, Andor season 2 will come out in April. We are going to be doing a Andor watch through review series. Um, there's 12 episodes, so my guess is it has to start by late January to get in before Andor is done. So that is something we're gonna do. You have myself, Randy, Johnny, and Kieran will be actively a part of that. Um, we're gonna do a Skeleton Crew review series. Prior to that, obviously, that'll kick off December 3rd. And really, my guess is that will lead us right into us brushing up on Andor, which will lead us into Andor season 2. So, really sort of clears the way on what Star Wars content is going to look like for us moving forward. That being said, Johnny, you have heard some utterly ridiculous statements over the years in terms of Star Wars projects. Maybe none more so than we have no source material, which is always a funny one to go back to. So Boris Kitt from the Hollywood Reporter does a follow-up story, kind of like a state of the franchise piece. People can find it over at the Hollywood Reporter. Um, and he goes on to basically say things are still messy over there, and you have multiple groups of people working towards Ray movies. So you have the trilogy with Simon Kinberg. You had the other one that was happening originally with Damon Lindelof writing, and then it was Stephen. Actually, there was someone else writing, and then Stephen Knight was writing. But the implication seems to be from the Hollywood Reporter that not both of these projects are going to happen, meaning it'll be one or the other. So instead of getting all your smart people together and putting your eggs in a basket and getting out a project, we have essentially, I don't want to say it was announced because it was not announced, but Simon Kinberg literally came out and confirmed the reports about him working on a trilogy. So, and that's on the heels of Stephen Knight being dismissed or leaving or whatever that was. That's on the heels of Daisy Ridley saying there was more news coming soon in regards to what she would be doing. That's on the heels of, Charmine, uh, the director there, being radio silent for months on end. Um, so, first of all, what's your take on having multiple different groups of individuals work on multiple Ray movies, knowing some of them are never going to get made, instead of, bringing your resources in together? And two, and like, which one do you think is going to get made? The one where people are falling off the project left and right, or the recently reported Simon Kinberg one? Come on, no brainer. But then they follow that up with, and Boris Kitt follows it up in his article with, according to a source of his at Lucasfilm, they view Ray, as in Daisy Ridley's character, as their most valuable cinematic asset at Lucasfilm, the character Ray. thoughts?
Come on, Johnny, rant away. I want to hear it. The ultimate
I
rant.
know I've
Go.
been waiting for this one.
We gave our shit last week. This is your time. Go for it.
Your closet is as
There's Tommy.
bare. Your closet is as bare as Lady Gaga's after a tour. Okay? I can't with these. Like, I don't know. I am just I have nothing to say to these people at this point. I can't. I can bang my head against a wall so much, so often, that eventually I'm just gonna start walking around like Tua Tagovailoa. Okay? I'm gonna start calling people by the wrong name. Like, I can't keep hitting my head against this wall that is Disney and the people involved in Star Wars nowadays. I can't. Like, to say that Rey's the only character. Hold on, I pulled this up while we were doing this, so I can actually read a little bit of this. The only entity with currency on the big screen. Excuse me. Like, I can't with these people. Like, oh my god, my head hurts just reading this. Seeing that quote and reading it honestly is giving me a migraine. Okay, I can't. Star Wars has dozens of bankable characters in cinema. The fact you choose not to use them out of fear of recasting or writing projects for them or just straight up not wanting to use them is not our fault. It's yours. To sit behind this steadfast, oh, we can't recast the big three because they're the big three, and it won't work just because Solo was a bad movie because you had 10,000 cooks in the kitchen. Like, you called in Ron Howard to try and make chicken salad out of chicken shit, and he did a good job of it. But you can't cover up the wealth of mistakes you made on that project and say that it's the fault of recasting Han Solo, because it's not. That's not the fault. If that was the fault, then people wouldn't be looking at Donald Glover as Lando and saying, that worked, and being behind the idea of him getting a movie of his own.
To be clear, I don't know many people that are behind the Lando movie, but
comparatively is what I'm saying. Like, it's not the runaway train wreck that they're trying to paint it as, because it's not. It's when you give us mediocre, subpar shit, we're going to tell you that. You know, we're not bootlickers. And yes, there's a portion of the fan base that is. No matter what you give them, it's the greatest thing in history. Well, the facts are it's not. And yes, you put out mediocre crap and we still go to the box office and see it. Well, we're in an abusive relationship with Disney Star Wars. We're going to keep coming no matter what. It doesn't matter what it is. We're going to keep coming back and say, maybe this time they'll get it right. Maybe this time, maybe this is the one. Maybe we're going to finally get it right. We're going to keep doing that until the end of time because we love Star Wars and we will continue giving it the benefit of the doubt because we love it. And we genuinely hope that this is the one. This is the one. We're the fans of those sports. We're Dallas Cowboys fans up here. This is our year. This is our year. This is our year. We can't win at home. Like, it's what we are, and it's what we'll continue to be.
So I agree with that take from the diehard fan standpoint. Like, we're going to watch Star Wars, but the numbers have shown in terms of where the theatrical box office is trending and how the series are trending that people aren't coming back. People are staying away, which is why they're so nervous and insecure about the making big decisions like recasting and which is a problem. That being said, I think the worst thing you can do is be half in, half out.
I mean, Rise of Skywalker still grossed north of $1 billion. Like, we're still coming. And that's the most recent example because it is the most recent example. So you can still be that threshold of being the juggernaut in the box office, no matter how bad the movie is. Because you're Star Wars. You've built that brand equity that people are still going to come out. And then the fan base, the diehards, are going to keep going.
I will go out on a limb and say The Mandalorian and Grogu does not make $1 billion at the worldwide box office. And I don't think that'll be a disaster. I think there'll be people that absolutely make it out to be that. But The Rise of Skywalker made north of $1 billion at the box office on a bloated budget, on a J.J. Abrams attempted save job, on the promise of the title being The Rise of Skywalker, heavy implications and innuendos towards Anakin possibly coming back. I don't want to say they bait and switched, but they really kind of did bait and switch on that movie. And the fall off on that movie was drastic after the opening weekend. But like if The Mandalorian and Grogu debuts and it makes, let's say, 750 million at the worldwide box office, I won't think that's a failure for them,
That's
given
a
where the
win for
budget is
sure.
at. That would be a huge win. At this point, right now, in my opinion, where I view the general public's interest in Star Wars, because you have to get the general public to get to $1 billion. You can have the diehards, but you have to have some measure of the general public in order to put those kind of numbers up there. And I view the general public's interest in Star Wars right now about where it was during Solo, as in not existent.
There are 7 films that I can find that have crossed $1 billion at the box office in the 2020s.
No, that can't be. There's got to be way more.
I think
than
that's
that.
domestically.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure this is just domestically, not internationally, which is why it's such a low number. So to have that number as the threshold is ridiculous because it's not a huge number. And even if you added the international numbers, I don't think in the 2020s decade the number is still not that high. I would wager it's 25 or less in the 2020s decade that have crossed $1 billion.
I think people just got so used to being like, "Oh, it's a Star Wars movie, automatic billion, automatic billion, automatic billion." And you know what? I think Disney was very much in the same picture as that. But you come off the divisive Last Jedi um, into Solo, a movie that was shot twice, and they didn't even break even on. They lost a ton of money on. Um, and things changed, right? Like the knee jerk reactions we've heard that have come out from where they were in the pre production from so many of their projects to where they are now. A lot of it is based off of what people thought of Solo, the Solo financial parameters, I guess you could say. Sorry, I know that got long winded.
It just, it's ridiculous that we're right back to that we don't have source material argument. Like, bullshit. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I can't in any universe fathom a statement that Rey is the only character with the box office account. Like, it's a ridiculous statement because factually, I would argue she isn't even in the top 5 for cinematic economy in Star Wars. And to say that she's the only character that has cinematic economy is ridiculous. Like, Mandalorian and Grogu, I can't count on that list because they are cinematic unknowns. They have not been on the big screen. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know how they're going to produce. Logically, you'd assume they're going to produce well because, Grogu does have the name value beyond Star Wars. He did cross the cultural threshold, which is something that is
Which,
very
in my
hard to do.
opinion, Ray did not.
No, not even remotely close. So I think purely based on speculation, I would say that Grogu has a higher cinematic economy than Rey, based solely on the fact that Grogu accomplished everything he did without the machine behind him. That's the thing that people don't fathom, that they don't understand. Grogu accomplished all of his popularity without the machine. The machine came late. The machine came at the end, and it didn't really come because they just weren't prepared for it. Nobody expected it. Like, we've heard like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni saying, "Yeah, we expected it. We knew it was going to happen." Bullshit, they did. They didn't. They struck lightning. They're the Clampets digging for oil in their backyard. They hit it. And holy shit, we struck oil. We're moving to Beverly Hills. Like, nobody expected it. To say that they did is, I'm sorry, that's revisionist history. You didn't expect it. You got lucky, and you're riding the lightning. Okay, good for you. But now you're going to have a Grogu film with the machine behind it. And I think they're going to overcompensate for the lack of the machine the first time, or we're going to see Grogu everywhere now. And which is saying something, because for a period there, we did see him everywhere. Once they realized they had something, we did see him everywhere. But now this is basically a reintroduction of Grogu on the grander scale, and we're going to see it everywhere. Now, of course, it has the potential to backfire. We've seen that. It's not new. It's whatever. The cuteness has worn off.
I think
Whatever.
there's a big potential for that.
There is. But there's also as big a potential that now the kids are going to get into it. The kids are going to see it. Because on Disney Plus, it didn't have quite that much of a targeted audience. It wasn't targeted at kids. There wasn't that marketing that was targeted at the kids for Grogu. Now you're going to have that. It's, if you look at the history of Star Wars, George Lucas always wanted that character that you could market for the kids. He tried it with the Ewoks. It didn't work. He tried it with the Gungans. It didn't work. Not the way he wanted it to. But Grogu...
So clearly there's only one answer then.
Yeah. But Grogu, you have a chance for it to work because it worked for the adults first. The adults aren't going to shit on Grogu because we fell in love with him first. Now's your chance to get the kids hooked on Grogu. And if you can do that, then you have a chance for something special. You also have the equal chance that Grogu is going to fall into that Jar Jar Binks category, and you pushed him too far, you pushed him too hard, and now he's worthless. So it's of course it's a double-edged sword, but to say that Rey is the only character that is in any way bankable in Star Wars is the most ridiculous statement I've heard since we have no source material. And it might even be worse than that.
Yeah, only this one we can't put a face to, right? It's a unknown source at Lucasfilm that's talking to Boris Kidd about this. But yeah, for me, it ranks up there as the dumbest thing they've said yet, which is remarkable because there's a long list of it over the last 12 years or so. Randy, any follow-up thoughts on this? We talked about it last week on the show, but like, it really is a little bit disheartening to read stuff like this after getting a little bit excited about the Kinberg possibility.
Well, it's always disappointing when sources come out and try to say things like this. At this point, I'll take a Darth Jar Jar movie over a Rey movie just because it's something different. At least I'm not saying that the character of Rey is a bad character. She's not. There's a lot of potential still there, but again, we can't just sit there and be like, let's just hitch our horses to one character and away we go. That's not how a cinematic universe works. That's not how the galaxy far, far away works. It's always groups of people coming together. It's not one individual. And just the idea of, this whole inner war going on. And if that's the case, then, this would be the final straw for Kathleen Kennedy because she's allowing it. But no, I feel like ultimately here, we have far more bankable characters with more recency bias than Rey. Whether it's Din, Grogu, and Ahsoka, Thrawn, you could easily use them as your driving force right now, bringing like the cast of Rebels more into the mainstream again. But also bringing Anakin back. It's time to recast the big three. I get it. You don't want to touch it. You're afraid of what's going to happen. But you know what? The fans aren't against it. You don't hear people going, no, no, you can't do it. Mark Hamill's given his blessing. Harrison Ford's going to be like, go for it. I don't think Billy Lord's going to have an issue with saying, yeah, you can go ahead and recast my mom's character. It's time. We need for the series, the saga, for the whole franchise to grow. We need to get some of these stories that we never got because we only had the original trilogy. We only had the prequel trilogy. Now we have Disney who's trying to branch out and make all these pathways. Stop resisting. Give the people a chance to grow to love Han, Luke, and Leia in a different way. Give everybody a chance to see different stories involving Vader that maybe they didn't know about. Because if Han, Luke, and Leia are involved in between Empire and in Jedi, or in between A New Hope and Empire, Vader's going to be involved. The Emperor's going to be involved. You've got a really young actor that's going to be able to play Chewbacca in these movies for years to come. I don't understand the fear. And at this point, what have you got to lose?
The remarkable thing is, it's almost like they forget that it's fiction. Star Wars is fiction. It's make-believe people. It's made up. It's predetermined. It's, based off of...
What do you mean? It's a historical document. They say
Yeah,
so
right.
right in the crawls. It's a long
Like,
time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
you have a guy like Hayden Christensen who wants to do more of the role and does it quite well, in my opinion.
Ewan McGregor wants more Obi-Wan. I mean, come on.
But specifically on the Hayden front, like,
Kieran is now randomly screaming at the sky and doesn't know why.
Anakin is the chosen one, right? Like, he's who the main story is about. You're telling me you can't have a story set, 50 years after Return of the Jedi, or 100 years after Return of the Jedi, where for whatever reason the chosen one rises again and needs to figure out, what is his purpose here, what's the meaning of it. Can't go on and meet new people. Can't go on this redemptive arc. I like it. I'm not saying that can be the only thing they can do, but the point is, there are other ways that you can use these characters. And obviously, as long as we have this leadership, I don't think we're going to get the big three recast. Unfortunately, I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb. But at the end of the day, I'm just a bus driver. I'm not making those big time decisions over at Lucasfilm. That being said, I think we are going to call it for this episode. We'll try to spend some more time next week in the galaxy far, far away. We're gearing up for Skeleton Crew soon. I really don't know what to expect from this show, guys, other than a bunch of characters we don't know in a space that we do know. And we'll see what happens. Obviously there's a lot of talent involved with the project. Hopefully they've the entire extra year they had to edit this thing come through for them. Johnny, what you got going on? Where can everybody find you at, man?
Oh, you can find me here, there, and everywhere. Mostly here.
Randy?
Well, obviously every Tuesday, find me here. On X, it's at Giggity Giles. And if you like sports and just overall craziness and bullshit, you can Google Sports and Brew. We are over halfway through the NFL season, and we will be recording soon again. So for those of you who have been listening, thank you, and hope you've been enjoying.
Big thank you to our channel sponsors, Mr. Matt Whitfield, Mr. Jesse over at Jesse Storytime Spectacular, Jason Nike over at Backtrack Cinema, and Ryan at Colic Nation. Without their support, we wouldn't be on here doing the amount of content that we are able to do so. We had a little bit of a break, but new episodes of Supernatural Revisited will be available this week on the channel. For Randy and Johnny and Matt earlier, I'm Sean, and we'll see you next time when the Empire calls.